Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Cuyahoga County Soldiers and Sailors Monument, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us as we remember those who paid the supreme sacrifice on behalf of the nation's defense. I'm Tim DALEY. I'm the Executive Director of the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, and it's my pleasure to serve as the MC for today. Oh, when should the nation forget the valorous deeds of her sons? When should she regret the price to which victory was won? The years are fast flying away, as ere the years have done, but may she show through her tribute of flowers that though the years and ages have run, that the nation can never forget the valorous deeds of her sons. This day commemorates valor on sea and on land and is illustrious. This day is eloquent with a patriotism which did not speak, only from the lips. This day is sacred with the almost visible presence of those who have joined the innumerable company of those who muster upon the parade ground of heaven. With bowed heads, solemn tread, and hushed voices, we meet to remind our people of their duty to the soldiers and sailors who wore the blue, to the flag for which they fought, to the country for which they died, and that it is for us to keep green the memories of their heroic voices and unselfish sacrifice. Will you please rise for the playing of our national anthem? Please join me in pledging allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the benediction. At this time, I call forward our Commissioner, John Silvis, who will lead us in the invocation.
Let's bow our heads. Almighty God, we thank Thee for Thy sovereign care and protection, and that Thou did lead us in the days that were shadowed with trouble, and gave us strength when the burden was heavy upon us, and gave us courage and guidance. So that after the conflict, we have come to these days of peace. We thank Thee that the wrath of war has been stilled, that brother no longer strives against brother, that once again we have one country and one flag. May Thy blessing be upon us as a people, that we may be Thy people, true and righteous in all our ways, tender and patient in our charity, though resolute for the right, eager to forward the interests of our citizens throughout the land, so that our country may be indeed one country from the rivers to the seas, from the mountains to the plains. We pray Thee to make our memory steadfast, that we may never forget the generous sacrifices made for our country. May our dead be enshrined in our hearts. May their graves be the altars of our grateful and reverential patriotism. Finally, Almighty Father, may we fully realize the sanctity of this place and hour. May our conduct give us assurance of the sincerity of our purpose and our earnest appreciation of the duties and responsibilities devolving upon us. Amen.
Please be seated. time, it's my pleasure to introduce Commissioner AZALI, who will give us a reading of General Order Number 11 of the Grand Army of the Republic.
Hello everyone, how you guys doing this afternoon? Great. My name is AZALI. I served in the United States Army as an infantryman in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Okay, so headquarters, Grand Army of the Republic, General Orders Number 11, Washington, D.C., May 5th, 1868. The 30th day of May, 1868, is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. In this observance, no form of ceremony is prescribed, but posts and comrades will in their own way arrange such fitting services and testimonials of respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized, comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of preserving and strengthening those kind of fraternal feelings which have bound together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who united to suppress the late rebellion. What can aid more to assure this result than cherishing tenderly the memory of our heroic dead, who made their breasts a barricade between our country and its foes? Their soldier lives were the reveille of freedom to erase in chains, and their deaths the tattoo of rebellious tyranny in arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. All that this consecrated wealth and taste of the nation can add to their adornment and security is but a fitting tribute to the memory of their slain defenders. Let no wanton foot tread rudely on such hallowed grounds. Let pleasant paths invite the coming and going of reverent visitors and fond mourners. Let no vandalism of avarice or neglect, no ravages of time testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull, other hands slack, and other hearts cold in the solemn trust, ours shall keep it well as long as the light and warmth of life remain to us. Let us, then, at the time appointed, gather around their sacred remains and garland the passionless mounds above them with the choicest flowers of springtime. Let us raise above them the dear old flag they saved from his honor. Let us, in this solemn presence, renew our pledges to aid and assist those whom they have left among us as a sacred charge upon a nation's gratitude, the soldiers and sailors widowed and orphaned. It is the purpose of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance with the hope that it will be kept from year to year while a survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades. He earnestly desires the public press to lend its friendly aid in bringing to the notice of comrades in all parts of the country in time for simultaneous compliance therewith. Department commanders will use efforts to make this order effective. By order of John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief. Thank you.
This afternoon, we're fortunate to have retired Chief Warrant Officer Ryan Walters as our keynote speaker. Mr. Walters has been connected with Northeastern Ohio since 2003, and he currently serves fellow veterans as a health service specialist at the Lewis Stokes Medical Center at University Circle. Chief Warrant Officer Walters spent most of his 20-year Army career assigned to United States Army Special Operations Command. He was a lead pilot, chief flight instructor for the 2nd Battalion, 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, assigned from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and spent most of his Army flying career at Special Operations Heavy Assault Chinook helicopters. He spent just under 4 years cumulative time abroad in combat in such places as Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, and other locations. He has earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Air Medal with V device, the Bronze Star, 2 Meritorious Service Medals, and many other accommodations. Please join me in welcoming Chief Warrant Officer Walters.
Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon. Again, thank you for joining us today as we reflect and remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in this traditional Memorial Day remembrance ceremony. My name is Ryan Walters, and I'm recently retired Chief Warrant Officer 4 from the United States Army. I retired last year, having spent most of my career in Special Operations Aviation, and almost 13 and a half of my 20 years is spent at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, flying the 2nd Battalion 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. I started off my career in the Army enlisted in the 2nd Ranger Battalion, and continue as Tim stated, working at the VA Medical Center over at Wade Park, just by the museums. I'm married to a Cleveland girl, so I'm not from Northeast Ohio originally. Grew up in Southern California. My dad was a police officer, and I joined the Army at 18. And I just wanted to be part of a team, wanted to go out and serve my country and do some great stuff, never knowing what the Army would do for me and where it would take me, and not expecting to do 20 years in the Army. But I will tell you, it's the best decision I made, and I still think about the men and women that are out there still serving right now, in harm's way, doing some very dangerous stuff. So I first set foot in Cleveland in 2003, and actually one of the first places my future wife took me to when I met her was here. We walked around this monument, went to Tower City, she got me an Indians hat, and kind of got me back into baseball too. Admittedly, I grew up as a Dodgers fan, and the strike and the steroid issues in the late 90s kind of turned me off from baseball, but my future wife got me back into baseball with the tribe, and the first place she wanted to bring me to was down here to Public Square to see this beautiful monument. And of course, to run across the street, I think there's a team shop there. There was a team shop there a while ago to give me an Indians hat. And mind you, I just finished flight school, and this is in early 2003. And then shortly thereafter, I went back to Fort Lewis, Washington, signed in, and got in a plane and flew straight to Iraq for Operation Iraqi Freedom 1. So the first time I flew a helicopter outside of flight school was overseas in Iraq. I'll tell you, I love it up here in Northeast Ohio. When you're away from here for a while, you realize what you have up here. It's a beautiful area, it's very veteran friendly, and there's a lot of people that have served their country up here and have done some incredible things for this nation. But 2003 was a chaotic year in Iraq, and many more difficult years to follow. I started off my career as a helicopter pilot flying medical evacuation helicopters in Iraq, also known as dust-off. I had what was kind of the contemporary Vietnam experience for those that flew helicopters in Vietnam. It wasn't uncommon to graduate flight school and then go straight overseas to Vietnam and start flying. That's essentially what my whole entire graduating class did in 2003. We all went over to Iraq. The next time I saw most of my classmates was actually overseas, all of us flying for the first time. But I flew medical evacuation helicopters initially before I went back to special operations, so I spent a year doing that. When we were called on the radio, we were called out to go alone and unafraid by ourselves, normally to go somewhere to pick up somebody that had been gravely wounded and needed us immediately to bring them back to advanced medical care. I got to see firsthand the consequences of combat. Every single day we flew out and did this and picked up the wounded, whether it was Americans or Iraqis or other NATO forces or allies. We didn't discriminate. We went out there and brought them back as fast as we could in an attempt to save their lives. That wasn't always the case, and some succumbed to their wounds, but we sure as heck tried to do everything we could, even if the odds weren't in favor. Many would survive their wounds, most would not. These were sons and daughters, fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, friends and colleagues, fellow service members who volunteered to serve their country, many who would never return home. After a year in Iraq, I decided to go back to special operations. I wanted to fly with the best and support the most complex special operations missions around the world. Admittedly, I would never have imagined where my time spent in that organization as a pilot would take me. I enjoyed flying with the best helicopter pilots in the world while supporting domestic and foreign special operations forces. From the usual conflict zones in Iraq and Afghanistan to other locations in Africa and Asia and Europe, I was grateful to see the world and experience firsthand the various cultures and religions with my own eyes, and thankful for the opportunity to work with an incredible team. My experience was definitely unique by military standards. I probably spent as much time with my fellow pilots and aircrew as I did with my own family. Seeing that I served most of my Army career with the same people, this was certainly unique by contemporary military standards. Staying at the same military base with the same organization for over a decade, never moving around and growing up with the same people. To say that you become close with your colleagues is an understatement. We knew each other well, and we knew what to expect from one another. When under fire and in the thick of a firefight, or in a very dangerous position, not knowing what the outcome would be, I could trust everybody with me 100% of the time. I ended up spending nearly 3 years cumulative time, or just under 4 years cumulative time in combat with the same people, many who are still serving right now and are still deployed to locations around the world. We supported the nation's most sensitive missions in some of the most dangerous places, and not always the places that most are familiar with. In many cases, we were out there alone, by ourselves, doing our job. Unfortunately, experiencing the loss of aircraft and aircrew is not uncommon. I've had many friends who took off on a mission and never returned. Sometimes we had to go clean up the pieces afterwards. For my family and I, and for many of those that have served, Memorial Day is every single day for us. Even though I had the honor of flying and supporting some of the most sensitive missions that the country has ever done, the most impactful and rewarding experience of my 20-year career was caring for the family of one of our helicopter crew chiefs who was killed in a fatal crash in Afghanistan in 2007. He was one of 8 that were killed in the crash that day. See, our organization had the policy that we would always take care of our own and their families when they had fallen. I remember on a bright, clear Sunday morning in February of 2007, I had received a phone call from my unit. I knew that something wasn't right. This didn't feel normal to me. My wife could tell the same as well. 2 weeks before, I had just returned home from a deployment, and the crews that came over did a high five with us, and we went back. That was kind of the way that we did things. We did a lot of short, frequent deployments. So guys would come over, we'd do a handover, we'd go back. And we'd do normally 60-day deployments 3 times a year, constantly since 9/11. Guys are still doing that. So everybody that came over relieved us in place and went back. I knew everybody personally. They were my friends. So I went into work that Sunday morning, and as soon as I showed up, I was shown a list of names. The names of friends, brothers, pilots, and crew chiefs who had been killed the night prior in Afghanistan in a crash. That same evening, I was sent to Naples, Florida to assist the family of a young crew chief who died the night before in a crash. The family had already been notified by a chaplain and by a commanding officer from our organization, and I experienced firsthand the pain and anguish of losing a family member of a family that I had never met. I had to help them heal, and I had to help them get their loved one home. Planning a funeral for one fellow soldier while trying to find the time to heal because of the loss of very close friends is something I would never wish on anyone. But we had to do what we had to do, care for the fallen, and especially families. Despite all the incredible experiences that I had, nothing would surpass this experience of caring for somebody who fell in combat. I still talk to this family today, 12 years later. They're my family now too. I enjoyed my 20-year Army career, and I think about my friends and colleagues who are still out there right now, at this moment, serving and flying complex missions. I think about every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, and Coast Guard sailor serving and protecting our nation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Please keep them in your prayers, for the work they do continue to be difficult, dangerous, and stressful. I challenge everyone to make Memorial Day an everyday affair, even just for a few moments. Memorial Day reminds us that there will always be sacrifice no matter what. War and combat always produce casualties no matter what. I will tell you that I did not expect anyone to thank me or any other living veteran for my service. For this week, on the Memorial Day holiday, and this traditional Memorial Day, I ask that you thank those who gave their best and never returned for their sacrifice. Thank their family for their sacrifice. We owe it to the men and women who never returned. We shall never forget them. In closing, Memorial Day is for the hundreds of thousands of soldiers killed on both sides of the Civil War, the 116,000 killed in World War I, the 416,000 killed in World War II, 36,000 in Korea, 58,000 in Vietnam, those killed in Grenada and Panama, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Somalia, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Niger. Never forget them. They fought in places like Gettysburg and Shiloh, Marne and Bellawood, Saipan and Iwo Jima, Sicily and Normandy, Chosin Reservoir and Incheon, Khe Sanh and Hue. They jumped into Point Salinas and Rio Hato. They fought in Kuwait City, Mogadishu, Kandahar, Sanjan, Jalalabad, Mosul, Fallujah, Raqqa, and Central and Western Africa. Remember them every day, lest we forget. So I ask that you go and enjoy the day and reflect and remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. Always take the time to spend time with your friends and family on this beautiful day and every day. But remember the lifestyle that we have in America, the ability to enjoy a long weekend and a week of remembrance such as this week was made possible by the nearly 1 million men and women who have died in service to this country since the American Revolution. As former President James Garfield, a Moreland Hill native, Northeast Ohio native, once said, I'm going to paraphrase a bit, we do not know one promise these men and women made, one pledge they gave, one word they spoke. But we do know that they summed up and perfected, by one supreme act, the highest virtues of soldier and citizen. For love of country, they accepted death and thus resolved all doubts and made immortal with patriotism and virtue. I want to thank you again for the opportunity to speak today. my friend Matt Davis for the opportunity as well. Thank you for reflecting every single day and remembering everybody that has fallen in defense of this country. Lest we forget.
Thank you very much for those most appropriate words. At this time, we will have the presentation of the memorial wreaths. The first wreath will be presented on behalf of the James A. Garfield Camp, number 142, Sons of Union Veterans of the American Civil War. The next wreath is on behalf of the Eliza Garfield Auxiliary, number 142, Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. The next one is for the Ohio Naval Brigade, Sons of Veterans Reserve, Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War. And the final wreath is on behalf of the 103rd Ohio Volunteer Infantry, whose descendants still reside at Sheffield Lake. And at this time, we'll have a musical selection the last day of May.
everlasting waters, all energy, all in the oil. The flesh turns to dust, so that forever there is no redeemer. Now I'm so blue. The valley is all in all. Lord, and also that way. But now is a peace, yet I will control. Ready to mercy, oh, blessed days.
At this time, it's my pleasure to present Mr. Ted Prossi, President of the Monument Commission, for concluding remarks.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you to John, Oz, and Ryan. We were here. We made a difference. We will be remembered. Whether we go back over 240 years ago, the greens of Lexington and the woods of Concord, over 155 years ago to the village streets and the fields of Gettysburg, or to 75 years ago in another week to the beaches of Normandy. These were the men and women who sacrificed their future for ours. That's what drives people to remember, that ultimate sacrifice. The shirt I'm wearing says on it, understanding sacrifice. I do some work for the American Battle Monuments Commission and the National Cemeteries Administration. Part of our task is to make sure we remember it's relevant to us today. I brought you an example of that. If you go to Vierville-sur-Mer, overlooking the beaches at Omaha, you will see flags like this that are placed on the graves and the memory markers of almost 10,000 Americans who gave their life in the Normandy campaigns. If you come up and look later, you can see that these staffs are still stained with the soil of that cemetery in Normandy that holds those young Americans who they never had another tomorrow. So our task is to remember them. The men who built this monument were veterans. If you look around yourself here, you see almost 9,000 names of men who served in the Union cause, men from this county. You can't tell from looking at which of these died during the war and which lived to remember. But we do know that over 1,000 lost their lives in the conflict. So in 1894, when they dedicated this space, a generation after the war, they wanted to tell their story so that we and into the future would remember that their names remained in the National Book of Remembrance. So that today we may say to them, you were here. You made a difference. And we do remember.
If we could all please rise for the benediction, followed by the playing of hymns.
Bow our heads. Supreme ruler of the universe, God of battles and peace, we thank thee for this day and hour, for this blessed privilege of meeting here to do homage to the nation's dead. We thank thee that in a day of trouble and the hour of danger, thou in thy infinite wisdom raised up men who were ready to do battle, and if need be, to die that this country might be preserved. Grant us, we beseech thee, a continuance of thy watchful care. We thank thee for the blessings upon these sacred ceremonies, consecrated as they were to the memory of brave and loyal hearts, who dared stand for the right and did not fear to bare their breasts to a storm of steel in defense of human liberty, a united country, and the brotherhood of man. Bless our country, preserve its integrity. Make it, we pray thee, an instrument in thy hands of great good. And when at last you shall call us, gather us with thee in the great camp of eternity. Hear and answer us, we beseech thee. Amen.
On behalf of the Cuyahoga County Soldiers and Sailors Monument, we thank you for taking time to be with us for our traditional Memorial Day service. I would like to remind each of you that it is our 125th anniversary year, and please stop at the desk on your way out. We have a special memorial 125th anniversary postcard as a parting gift for each of you as a memorial of having spent some time with us. Also, make sure you please take our rack card that has the remainder of our events that are all free and open to the public. And if you can, please join us on July 4th for our 125th anniversary rededication at 12 noon. Thank you, and all have a good day. Mary Louise, go get John, and I need a photo of all the participants here before everybody gets running. It's great to see you. We're going to get John in here, and then we're going to... You didn't tell me that was my birthday. I had a birthday. Oh, good. I didn't know. I saw you.